So I've had requests in the past, people asking for a synastry of Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. But, when I look at Kim Kardashian, I just get interested to do a whole lot of analysis, like between her and Pete Davidson, between her and Kanye, between her and Drake. So I get so much excited, and I want to do a whole lot of synastry analysis when it comes to her. So instead, then I was just like, okay, how about I just look at her profile and see how she loves and how she would be loved, and what's her love language like, right? And then of course I'm gonna do this same thing for other celebrities going forward, and as well obviously keeping the normal synastry analysis going. For this option, if you want to have your profile analyzed the same way I'm gonna do here, then there is an option on my website, of course. So looking at Kim's profile, right? Remember, I'm using Sidereal, and she's a Scorpio ascendant. And as we know, Scorpios go through lots of changes in their lives. They face lots of tribulations as well. They also tend to have to deal with a lot of sudden changes in their lives, right? And when it comes to Kim Kardashian, I would assume, she's experienced some fair share of these things in her life, right? Now, we have Uranus, Mars, and Neptune conjunct on her ascendant. Remember, when we're looking at the dating life, we're going to use Mars, and when we look at her marriage life, we're going to look at Jupiter in addition to this, right? She's got her moon in the 5th house, of course, giving her the fame, the massive fame that she has. She's got Ketu in her 3rd house and Rahu Vetax in her 9th house. And then lastly, she's got Fortune Chiron in her 6th house. Hold on. She also has Mercury and Sun in her 12th house. Obviously indicating the origins of her father being a foreigner, or Armenia, she's got Lilith, Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter all in her 11th house, obviously showing definitely a large connection of acquaintances or network circle. That would also be part of her work area, because there's Saturn here. We have Pluto, shows lots of changes and transformations in this part. And finally we have Lilith conjunct here, showing that there would be a lot of controversial actions between her and her friends, or her and her connections, right? Now, the big part is that she's got her Venus on her 10th house. Again, massive fame. When you have Venus on your 10th house, it usually makes you appealing to the general public. Like, everyone finds you appealing, everyone finds you beautiful, everyone finds you lovely, and everyone just wants to be close to you. They want a piece of you, right? Now, the addition of Venus, Moon in these houses do give fame, and you add Jupiter and Saturn in that 11th house. Definitely she was born to be famous, as well as Ketu, because Ketu does give fame. Remember, Ketu co-rules the 5th house of fame, and now is in the 3rd house of media, publicity, all of that space of entertainment in terms of the journalism side. And of course, as we know, she's massively famous, right? So now let's look at her love language, because that's the topic for today. So on the left here, I have her D1 chart, which is the normal natal chart. So I do understand that I have two different audiences. I have the Western audience, following tropical mostly, and I have the sidereal audience. So for the sidereal audience, I have also added the D9 chart. So on the right here, we have the D9 chart, and then on the left, it is the D1 chart. All right. As we know that the D9 chart is mostly representing the marriage life from the sidereal Vedic side, and also it represents, mostly in the later part of our lives, and some people kick it at 36 years old, and some people kick it at 37 years old, right? So most of the things that are happening in your life, you can also see them from the D9 chart at a once you around your 30s. However, remember the D9 chart is always existing, so meaning that your life from the age 0, the D9 chart is already running as well, but in a lighter aspect until your certain matures. Then you see the full display of your life, right? So the first step that we need to do is obviously to look at the situation of her Venus, right? So we can see that her Venus is in Leo sign in the 10th house, right? I already explained the house placement in terms of Venus, and further I can include that when it comes to relationships, it means that she would also enjoy attention from people, attention from other people, other public, other suitors. And, even if she's not interested to respond to everyone, but to get that attention and flirt when she wants, it gives Venus that happiness here, right? And at the same time, because it's in Leo, we can see that she loves boldly, like she's not afraid to love her partner and publicly, and she wants to be romanced in love. Like she appreciates romance and expensive gestures like gifts and stuff like that, artistic gestures. She likes all of those things. And because it's in Leo, she values a family structure in love. Like she always looks for love that would give her a family structure. And because it's in Leo as well, in the 10th house, you can find that she has different types of people that she attracts to herself, because 10th house is everyone. It's like the whole public. You can't say, oh no, there's only these people here, certain people. No, everyone is in the public, in the 10th house, right? And at the same time, you can also see that she attracts friendly partners. Also, the oddness of the partner is not only due to the 10th house, but also to the opposite sign of the Aquarius, right? So these people that she attracts are usually people that are also very friendly, who likes to be around other people, who enjoy, a community life, networking and all of that. And most of the time, these partners that she attracts would be people who are occupied with their friends, who enjoy really to be out there, right? So now if we look closer to her degrees, right? So her Venus is at 26 degrees. When I started learning astrology, I didn't understand at all what these degrees were about, right? So it's normal if you're still starting and you think they're just there for decoration, right? But actually they're saying something, because they're differentiating you from the rest of the people, right? So when her Venus is at 26 degrees in Leo. So it's telling us a story here, and let's get into it. So from these degrees, we can tell that she's flirtatious. Everything is alleged, by the way. I didn't say that like from the get-go until the end. So we can say that she's very flirtatious. She seeks attention. And, obviously by her partner, if we're keeping it to the context of our channel, relationships. So we can also say she's very charming, magnetic, of course. And this Venus with this degrees here of 26 degrees give us a person who is affectionate as well, very affectionate, very loyal and generous, to her partner. She's very confident and protective, of her partner, her family, and everybody around her. Like, that's what it does when it's at 26 degrees. However, it does have, also some negatives, like being possessive, liking to base everything around her, like ego-based, basically. And, there's usually a fear of commitment. But in her case, it's not that. Why? Because this Venus is semi-sextile to Saturn, right? So of course, again, aspects, always look at aspects, always look at what's happening around the planet that you're looking at. So could say she's jealous because a Leo does not like to really share their pride. It's like a lion doesn't like to share their lioness, so it's like that as well. So of course, if you are a bit possessive, you can be jealous as well. That usually goes hand in hand. So the importance of degrees is that, let's say, for example, if her Venus was at 3 degrees or 4 degrees, right? I would give a different scenario. I would add things that are different here. For example, I would say that she's very traditional, in love with a traditional view. Everything should be based on tradition. Then she likes to be authoritative in love. I would say that. I would say she has anger issues in her relationships. I would say she's emotionally distant, So those are the things that would be highlighted in her relationships and how she loves and how she tends to make her partners feel. But because hers is at 26 degrees, so it doesn't give these additional things that I just spoke about, right? So before we get more deeper into the detail, let's start with the D9 chart. And as I said, I have two audiences. I have the guys who are coming from the western side, and I have the sidereal guys. So with the D9 chart, I'm just going to make it a quick summary, and more like an introduction to the Westerners, and then as we go along, we can get deeper into the detail. Yes. Okay, so the D9 chart, she has an ascendant of Capricorn here, and she's got her Rahu on the Capricorn, right? But I don't want to focus so much on here. Actually, I should, because so basically, as I said, the D9 chart represents your union, your marriage life, and everything, right? So regarding to her, that like you can see, that is work based. She chooses spouses that are from her work industry, as obviously we've seen that she's married 3 people before, all famous, all from the entertainment industry or slash sports industry, right? So we can see that Rahu, yes, she's married people who are totally different from her, or who are controversial or exotic. For example, she married Chris Humphrey. He was very tall, and she was short, so there was a controversy according to how they looked together. And then she married Kanye West, an African American man, and she's Armenian American, right? So difference is, again, that Rahu plays a huge role into how she's seen with her spouse, right? But because I want to make it quick. I don't want to focus too much on the details. I don't want to get other people lost that are still new into this D9 chart thing. But what I would like you to focus, zoom in on the D1 chart. What do you see? The Venus again is where? Is in the Leo sign. Okay, so Leo sign is the lord of what? Of Venus, like the Lord sign, like the sign of Venus, but the Lord is Sun. Where has Sun gone into the D9 chart? We see Sun has gone into the 11th house of Scorpio, right? So here it gets conjunct with Venus. So what I can tell you from this is that within her marriage, because now the D9 chart is about marriage, is not about dating. This is not your boyfriend, somebody that you're going to date and dump. This is like somebody that you're married to or you have a kid with, right? So from this, I can tell you that, she's had some painful experiences in her love because of the Scorpio energy. She's had humiliations in her marriages. She has been humiliated by her husband or felt humiliated by her husband. She has had scandals and deep secrets, that were exposed because Sun will expose. But those qualities of Leo from her D1 get, taken over or get to be shown by the Sun here, because the conjunction now of Venus and Sun make Venus feel, that energy from the Sun, because Sun is coming before Venus here in this conjunction. And it's also telling us that both partners, her and the husband, would be having these scandals and humiliations and all of that, would be experiencing, both of them, the pain. Why? Because the Lord, or the dispositor of her Venus is conjunct with her Venus in the D9 chart, so making them both going through the same experiences or experiencing the same things in their marriage, right? But the story doesn't end there. We have to now look at the 7th lord of the D1 chart, where it goes into the D9. And we can see that the lord of the 7th house is Venus. So we already talked about it. So in this case, it makes it easier. It's already discussed, right? But if it were a different case, then we would look for it. For example, if it were certain, then we would get certain in the 4th house. And then we would talk about how the husband has influenced her home life and all of that, right? But it's Venus and we just spoke about it. So yeah, that's it for the D9 chart for today. This is just an introduction of how to read these things, right? You don't necessarily need the D9 chart, yeah? And as a reminder, if you would like to have your own love language profile done, contact me. I will do it. And you can buy my book on Amazon. It's available. It will change your life now. Unless there's a forced marriage or arranged marriage scenario, usually we start dating right before we get into marriage. So we start with the Mars, we deal with the Mars in the dating, right? So in her case, we can see that her Mars and Venus are making a square, meaning that she usually gets short-term dating situations, and these short-term dating situations with these men, they usually don't last long, and they usually don't have a big impact on her due to the Neptune. And there's a lot of, it's like they break up so quickly out of the blue suddenly because of the Uranus as well. So there would be those types of scenarios. There will also be hidden boyfriends because it's in Scorpio. So some of the relationships that she would have had in her life history, she would have hidden them and not discussed those situations with people, right? But we do know obviously that she got 3 marriages, I think 2 under her belt. So eventually those Mars got into the Jupiter position of being husband, right? So let's look and see what's happened with the Jupiter situation, right? Now she's got a semi-sextile with her Jupiter, right? Her Jupiter is in Virgo, but the most important thing here, the Jupiter is conjunct with Saturn. Saturn is about commitment. Saturn is about, settling down, having a serious relationship and all. And, with this semi-sextile, it means that her Venus, her love, is benefiting from, traditional marriage situation. So she would have said yes to these two people because she would have seen some traditional settlement in terms of family or money, because because from this position Venus also benefits materialistically from the Jupiter. So she would have said yes to these people because of probably what they had, but at the same time their profession as well was attractive to her because the Jupiter is with Saturn, and at the same time their working structure was attractive to her because it's in Virgo, right? And perhaps even the way they presented themselves, quite naughty, transformative, all of that due to the Pluto and the Lilith. So then her Venus would have been obviously taken care of by the Saturn, because anytime when Venus and Saturn get together, they just want to make something permanent, right? Then the biggest question would be, okay, how do you know now when Mars is going to be promoted into Jupiter, right? So there are two things, or three things if you'd like to add as well, the transit, but the progression of Jupiter in this case and Saturn would tell us when they would be married, and the progression of Venus as well. So in terms of Kanye West and Chris, then these two things would have played a role. So let's just see. Kim was married to three people. She got married at 19 years old to Damon Thomas in 2000, and she got married again to Chris Humphrey when she was 31. And then finally she got married to Kanye West at 33 years old. So when she got married to the first husband at 19 years old, her progressing Venus was was opposite to her Venus, her natal Venus. So of course when Venus is aspecting Venus, like I always say, great things happen, right? And at 31 again, the same thing happened when progressing Venus was passing opposite her natal Venus. She got married again to Chris Humphrey, and then something different happened when she got married to Kanye West at 33, because at this time her progressing Venus was not making any big aspects except trine to her natal Venus. But the biggest out of the biggest deciders is that it was opposite the dispositor of her Venus. Remember the dispositor I spoke about earlier when I was talking about the D9, which is Sun? Exactly. So when she got married to Kanye West, her progressing Venus was opposite the dispositor of her natal Venus, but remember it is also trine to the Venus, making the promotion from Mars to Jupiter, from boyfriend to husband, possible. Also add that her progressing Venus when she got married to Kanye West was also conjunct with her Chiron and Fortune, meaning that there was some sort of motive towards healing her fortune, that is increasing her net worth, her fortune, so yeah, I could even add other progressions here, which is not necessary because at this point I have my answer, but just to give a confirmation. So at this time when she got married to Kanye West, her progressing Venus was also opposite her own progressing Saturn, and again that certain factor commitment. And because at the time with Kanye West is against or aspecting Saturn, definitely showing long commitment here, because Saturn likes commitment. And at the same time, it was also opposite her own progressing Jupiter. Jupiter is about celebration, and Jupiter for her is a good planet, a benefic planet, because she's a Scorpio ascendant. So her marriage with Kanye West was bound to be longer than the other two marriages, due to that progressing Saturn that was facing Venus, progressing Venus at this time. With just a few points that you can use. I'm sorry to be speaking to the mic very closely. Sometimes I'll be like running away from my children and all of that. So anyway, as I said, when it comes to seeing when Mars is going to be promoted into Jupiter, when your boyfriend is going to be a husband, when is it likely? There are multiple ways you can look at it, like I just showed you. You can look at it from a progression point of view, or you can look from off Venus, or you can also look at it from a progression point of view of Saturn, right? And in terms of ascendants that are according to Jupiter, then you can look at Jupiter, because why? Jupiter is celebration. It's all about big celebration, expansion, and everything. So it does matter when it comes to marriage. But Jupiter itself is the significator of husband. So you have to look at it, where it's going, where it is in the chart, and where it's progressing in the chart, right? So what I see is that she's got a semi-sextile with her Venus and Vertex. Her Vertex is with the Rahu. Remember, Vertex is the point that is going to change your life for the rest of your life, right? So being a semi-sextile Venus and Vertex, this is where Venus gets exalted, because Venus gets exalted in the 12th house, like 12 places away. So Rahu and Vertex are showing us where Venus gets to have a good time, gets to relax, gets to have the best of the best experiences. But at the same time, this experience changed her life, and for her it was the bedroom video that she made with Ray J. And you can see that it was controversial because it's a Rahu, it's 12 places away, hidden stuff that was including the bedroom, bedroom activity as well. And then it changed her life due to the Vertex. It changes your life 100%. So her love life since then, and everything according to Venus in her life, got changed. So you can see that away from here. But because also Rahu is here, it's telling us that it's something that she enjoys. She enjoys, the bedroom life. She enjoys expressing her love in the bedroom. She enjoys expressing her love with foreign-looking people, because this is a Rahu, strange, like a foreign, exotic. She enjoys that bedroom life to express her Venus, to make her Venus fulfilled. She prefers these types of people, right, who obviously change her life due to the Vertex factor. As I briefly discussed, Venus is making a semi-sextile to Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, and Lilith. Of course, expansion in love in terms of her. She likes that. She benefits from, the husband in terms of, fulfilling her needs of Venus. And she uses also her work. She mixes that, her work to benefit from her work, using her love and all of that. And as I already discussed, transformative, sometimes taboo, tainted, due to the Lilith, right? So let's go into the Venus being sextile her Sun and Mercury. Here it's telling us that she likes to be friends with her lovers, like she prefers to have a friendly vibe with the person that she dates. And she likes to express herself in the love, like in a friendly manner. And, she obviously likes to respect and wants to respect her partner. And even though they have a bold communication with the person that she's dating or her husband, she also tends to have some diplomacy in her communication due to the Libra sign being involved here in this situation. But at times, because her sun is in Libra, debilitated, and it is also the dispositor of her Venus, we can tell that there's usually high insecurities in her relationships, right? And from both her and the partner here, due to the dispositor being the same in terms of Sun and with Venus, and then the D9 chart, they are conjunct together, right? Due to the square of her Venus to her Uranus, Mars and Neptune, we can say here, we can tell that, she usually chooses partners based on emotions, like very quickly. Everything she does is so quickly when it comes to choosing people that she needs to date or she wants to date. She doesn't take a long time to think about it. It's so suddenly, and sometimes it's so awkward, for people around her, and then practically she finds out in the long term, because it's a square, that they don't match, and then she wants to break it off because Mars will cut to the situation, right? And she struggles to choose the right people due to the Neptune as well, putting that fog over there. And sometimes she would usually go a long time without seeing the partner. Possibly there's a long distance situation, or there's a distance due to the work home balance obligations, right? And obviously this is telling us that usually her love language doesn't match the erratic behaviors of the people that she tends to date. And it could also be because they just have differences in terms of creative abilities of partners, as we know that between her and Kanye West, they have different creative abilities and talents, right? For example. And finally for today, because it's already a very long analysis, profile analysis, she's got her Venus in conjunct her moon. So this one here is very difficult because it's telling us that she's had to transform through controversies in that are involving sexual activities in her relationships, right? And of course we know that because of the video that made her famous, like the sexual video that she made with Ray J, definitely already seen here. And we can see that it would affect, obviously how she's viewed as a mother, because the moon is a mom. Here, her love affairs or her love situations and choices would affect or impact or put a stain on how she's viewed as a mother, which is happening now, right, because of her history. So that in conjunction is very clear here. And we can see that she sees in the sexual act itself as a nurturing emotional way to get into the partner, but it's difficult for the partner to understand this or to accept this, right? And we could see that there's a lot of addictions that she could be battling as well, due to the Venus being in conjunct to the moon in the Pisces on top of that, right, which could lead to health problems or challenges in functioning in her daily life, right? So that is clearly visible with the Venus and the moon. And again, everything is alleged. This is for research purposes only. And after being a mother from the in conjunction, we can tell that there would be litigations, and of course there has already been litigations whereby she had to fight for the custody of the children against Kanye West, Venus in conjunct moon. That's very clear. And lastly, it's indicating that the care that she gives or she receives is not met properly or accepted by the emotions of the spouse, or the spouse doesn't give emotions that are feeding her Venus in the way that she wants. So from all of this, guys, you can already see how I do my profile, my love language profile. This is just a section of the things that I do in my Synastry analysis. You can see the options available on my website. This is a new one to Kim. Thanks to Kim, because I got the idea whilst I was doing her stuff. So I'm like, why don't I do a certain dedicated love language to one person instead of the Synastry, because some people are single, they don't have a partner, but they want to know about their life, how they should be loved, how are they capable to love, and all of those things. Around 46 years old, she might meet somebody that she wants to have a long-term commitment with again, or she could get into some engagement of some sort, like something very serious around the age of 46. But for now, she's 44 years old, 44 and a half. So at this time, it's indicating her chart, her progressions, that she could be seeing somebody, dating someone, but she's trying to keep it a secret for people not to know, because her progressing Venus is opposite her Mars at this time with that Neptune and Uranus, and it's in Scorpio, so she could be preferring to keep it a secret and a hush-hush thing for now. And of course, once it passes Scorpio, then perhaps you could talk about it. But as of something serious, commitment based, then that would be around 46. And remember, I calculate by hand, so I could be 2 months off, maximum 3 months, never above this. Anyway, so when it comes to progressions and stuff like that, that is possible. And because progressing Venus is opposite that Mars, in her life, she could be, considering, anybody that she meets as a serious contender for, around 46 years old. But there could be some stresses and arguments with this person because it's in her 7th house, which is giving the ability to have a serious commitment now. But due to the Mars factor, it's also it's not going to last long. Like we already see how things went with the first husband and the second husband when Venus was progressing in her 7th house against that Mars factor. So on her ascendant. So these things really play a huge role. I'll chat to you soon. A bientôt. Ciao, ciao.